How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you what it's like to drive the all-new Maserati MC20 from a first-person point of view. The MC20 is powered by a 3.5-liter twin-turbocharged V6 called the Nettuno. It's good for 621 horsepower and 539 pound-feet of torque and can rocket the MC20 to 60 miles an hour in just 2.9 seconds. Now, this is the first in-house developed Maserati engine in the last 20 years, and it actually borrows some insane technology from Formula One called pre-chamber ignition. So you're used to, in most cars, having one spark plug per cylinder. Well, in the MC20, you actually have two. One in the main cylinder chamber, as well as one above in a small little chamber. So essentially, during the compression stroke, when that air-fuel mixture is perfectly stoichiometric, 14.7 to 1, it's pushed into the smaller chamber, and that combustion is done really, really rapidly and prevents knock, essentially. So they're able to increase compression by 15% while still reaching fuel economy standards and without the engine absolutely exploding. Pretty cool technology, and I believe it's the first time it's ever been used on a road car. The design of the MC20 is absolutely gorgeous, and it spent over 2,000 man-hours in a wind tunnel creating a very aerodynamic and beautiful shape. Normally, when you spend that much in a wind tunnel, it comes out looking bubbly or like a Toyota Prius, but this thing is actually drop-dead gorgeous and has some really cool aerodynamic features. We've, of course, got these hood vents here that help channel airflow over the hood and into that intake on the side of the car, but a lot of the aerodynamics are actually hidden underneath the car. It's got vortex generators for additional downforce, but it also has this hump design on the front and rear axle that essentially dips down in the middle to help channel airflow to the left and the right for extra brake cooling. Then that airflow flows through this little grate right there, down the side of the car, and into the engine, or into this smaller vent right there. Now, Maserati claims that these doors actually helped in aiding aerodynamics and downforce. I don't know if that's actually true, but they certainly look unbelievably cool. And I love this little MC20 blade right there. And then on the back side of the doors, we've got this beautiful forged carbon fiber and Alcantara. Checking out the interior now, and we have tons of leather and Alcantara. I absolutely love the seats. They're super comfortable and supportive. The steering wheel feels great in your hands. Carbon fiber up top, Alcantara on the sides. We've got an 8-speed dual clutch automatic transmission with big paddles that can either be had in carbon fiber like this or metal. Let's go ahead and hop inside. On the interior, we've got two gorgeous digital displays. We've got a dedicated start-stop button as well as a launch control button, and we've got a front lift button on the wheel itself. Now down here, we've got the drive mode selector. This is how you put it into drive or reverse. We've got a nice backup camera as well, which has some good graphics. And another thing that's cool is the visibility behind you isn't that great. So they've actually got a camera system for the rear view mirror so you can see spectacularly well. I also love this little MC20 logo right there. Now, to shift driving modes, we use this dial right here. Wet mode for driving in the rain. We've got a different instrument cluster set up. If we put it into GT mode, slightly different, sport mode, and then you hold it to the right to put it into Corsa mode as it reduces traction, and we've got this horizontal tachometer that looks really, really nice. Now, one of my favorite things to do is go into the drive mode Explorer right here, and it actually gives you details on the different driving modes. So Corsa, it's showing the responsiveness is super high, the stiffness and acceleration, but if we go into Sport, it'll change that graph slightly. And if we go into GT mode and wet mode as well, GT mode showing a city in the background, the graphics are honestly really impressive in this thing. I love the interior of this car. It's simple, but it's very well designed. The only thing I don't love is there's not a lot of storage space. There's basically nothing here on the doors. You've got a small amount of storage space in the glove box and a little spot right here. We do have multiple USB charging ports as well as a cup holder, but that's about it. Behind the wheel of the MC20 now, and this thing is an absolute monster. The level of grip is unbelievably impressive. We are in Corsa mode, the most aggressive of all the modes. Traction slightly reduced, heightened throttle response, stiffer springs, and it is unbelievable in the canyons. The brake feel is awesome. It takes a lot more force to press the brake than you're used to in a traditional supercar, but it feels like it's a brake out of a race car, which I absolutely love. but man, the cornering capability is unbelievable in this thing. And the throttle response is so instantaneous. It must have something to do with that pre-chamber ignition, because I've never felt a twin turbocharged car with no hybrid assist have this good of a response. And man, when you're all the way on the gas, the acceleration is really, really brutal. 621 horsepower, 539 pound-feet of torque, but it's a light car at only 3,250 pounds, thanks to an extensive use of carbon fiber. Man. And one of my favorite parts about this car is the gearbox. It's got a 8-speed dual clutch automatic that shifts incredibly fast. But when you're in Corsa, it smacks you in the back almost like it's a single clutch transmission, which is just such a cool thing to experience. And then you put it into GT mode or sport mode and it smooths out and is super easy to drive on a daily basis. But man, as a track-focused monster, this thing is insane. And then the fact that when you put it into a more comfortable mode, it's still refined and comfortable and easy to drive is absolutely insane to me. Now we've got a twin turbocharged V6 and I'm pleased to report it sounds awesome. Listen to the blow-off valve. It's right behind your head and it sounds like it has aftermarket blow-off valves, which I absolutely love. And it's got this really nice, aggressive yet smooth tone to it. So don't worry, just because it has a 6-cylinder and doesn't have a V8 does not mean you lose the drama. This thing has so much character to it and reminds me in many ways of the Ford GT. It's got similar soundtrack. It also handles similarly. It's not quite as raw as the Ford GT, but it's also a lot better as a road car than a Ford GT, which kind of beats you up no matter where you're going. This thing is a bit more refined than that, but you can still hear rocks bouncing off the tub, which is a really cool experience. Man, this thing is just an absolute riot. It's so fast. Wow. All right, we're gonna put it into GT mode now, and then take it out of manual by clicking that button right there. We're gonna drive it around in automatic mode. The steering is a little bit looser, the suspension loosens up a bit, everything's a little less responsive. Oh man, it's so nice in here. We've got a really good speaker system. We've got wireless Apple CarPlay, we've got wired Apple CarPlay, USB-C port, USB regular port. The digital displays are awesome, the instrument cluster is great, the seats are both comfortable and supportive. I'm really struggling to find anything negative about the MC20, honestly. I think they just did such a good job overall with this car. This might be one of the few cars I've driven where I can't really think of anything that is a legitimate complaint. I mean, maybe on the steering wheel we could have slightly nicer buttons so they're not a little bit plasticky. But other than that, man, it's such a good car, honestly, and it's easy to drive. If you don't want to drive this thing super aggressively, you can just drive it around nice and slow. And of course, it's so beautiful that you can enjoy the car just looking at it and sitting inside of it, or parking it in your driveway and staring at it from your living room. Or if you're really lucky and have one of those see-through garages where you can see the cars from your living room, that would be the ultimate dream. But man, this thing really is truly phenomenal in every sense. As a comfortable road car, as something you could daily drive on the weekends, and as a full-on sports car, it's absolutely ridiculous. So 2 thumbs up to Maserati. Awesome car. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.